Hi, welcome back. It's Tessa, and this is my story of my life. Just a bit of a recap. My previous video, I spoke about my time in Victoria up until about the age of 9. And from here, I'm going to talk about my time as it started in Queensland. The other thing I want to talk about is the reason I'm sharing my video, my story, is so that as I get further on, you'll understand where I'm coming from and that I've lived a lot of life experience in lots of different ways. And that's helped me make me who I am. And maybe you'll respect my opinions a little bit when I get a bit further in. Alright, well, let's get started. So, when we moved to Queensland, we lived in a caravan park in the caravan for 3 months until Mum and Dad finally bought the family home. Beautiful big brick joint, nice backyard, right in town, across the road from the servo. Life was pretty convenient. At that age, Mum and Dad both had to find work up here, which meant that us 3 kids got a little bit more free range parenting. Now, the area I grew up in was a little country-ish sort of town, 30 minutes out from Brisbane City on the north side. And those days, there was lots of big areas of bushland, places for kids to go explore, have fun, be kids. Bike tracks, take your bike, go, the locals had made big dirt jumps. And at that time, kids could be kids. So the rule was, be home when the street lights come on. As I got older, that rule was just a guideline. When I first moved in, didn't know anyone, would still get out on the bike, go explore, walk around, go explore. Started to make a couple of good friends, but still was me. My ADHD settled to a bit, to a point where I just stopped taking my medication. Didn't tell Mum and Dad because they weren't interested, as long as I wasn't annoying them, and my sisters, they were happy with whatever. Started at a primary school. When I started there, they kept me down a year, so I became a year older than all the other kids in the class. Still a bit of a smart ass. Did get into a couple of fights. Learned what the cane was. I'll get back to the cane stories. Different world. Victoria, there wasn't any of that sort of punishment. Up here, teachers dish it out as you require it. For a while, anyway. So I made a couple of good friends. One turned out to be a friend that I'm still in contact with. He knows who he is. His dad used to own a tow truck company. Lots of stories around that we'll get to as I get older. But at 9, 10, 11, I didn't do any extracurricular sports. I just went and hung around and explored the dams and the creeks, and learned how to yabby fish in the creek, and just being a kid, an early days kid. Dad was still at telecom. He started to travel a lot for work, so it was just us and Mum. Mum was working night shifts sometimes as a nurse at an aged care facility. My sisters gave me no freedom. I didn't give them any peace. I was a bit of a shit. And we just got on with life and taught ourselves who we wanted to be and what we should be. As we got older, at about the age of 11, I started playing rugby league. A guy Dad was working with was the coach, Mr. Talbot. He was a good man. He helped me a lot. Rugby league became my outlet, my way I could vent, store up all my anger and frustration through the week and take it out on the other kids, and I wouldn't get in trouble for it, so I was like, yay. I also started to do martial arts. Started doing a Shinzen-rai karate, which was a very old style karate, where the sensei made it very clear that if you wanted to pick a fight or start a fight using any of his techniques, parents were mandatory that they had to let him know, and his punishment was you had to spar him. So it was always a bit of a thing in the back of your mind that I'm only going to use this as a self-defense. I'm not going to use it to attack people, because you didn't want to fight him. He was a very big, nice man, but I saw one kid who did go around picking fights. I saw what he copped, and didn't want to borrow that at all. So I also started to see a doctor who was a child psychologist therapist, and he started to give me some really good techniques for managing my temper, making me understand my frustrations. Again, he was a good man. I had a lot of time for him and respect for him, because he really did understand what was going on in my brain and how I was not dealing with things I probably should have been dealing with effectively. So when it comes to my transition stuff, that was also the age I started to steal my sister's clothes when no one was around, because I had a bit of freedom, a little bit of privacy, not a lot. I would explore a little bit, and not really understanding what it was. Again, transgender may have been around, but it wasn't something that was very much known in our family or in my circles. Got caught a couple of times, and one of them led to my mental block, which was when my mother had caught me with some of her underwear. She was mortified, and she turned around and said, "What do you want to be, some sort of dirty transvestite?" And the look she gave me and the way she said it, it made it a really dirty thing that I started to put a block up. I just thought I was sick, I was wrong, there was something wrong with me. We would go on holidays, lots of different places. Mum and Dad loved to get away. We'd go to the Gold Coast. They had timeshare at the Gold Coast, so we'd go and stay at Burleigh Heads and hang around with all the other kids and go explore and surf and cause trouble at the local McDonald's, have police coming around getting up us all. We'll get on to a few more of those little stories as I age. We had a few more chances to do a lot more. So playing rugby league also taught me that you've got to respect some people, because when you've got the big fellas on your team and you're not one of the bigger fellas and you want to lose your temper and have a push and a shove, they will smack you in the mouth. You had to learn to fight, and I did. I learned to handle myself, and more and more as I got older, I got better and better at it. So about 11 was the age where I'm playing rugby league, doing martial arts, starting to make some more friends, having friends where I would just come home from school, Mum and Dad wouldn't be home, and I'd just go hang around at their place. Their parents would shout me dinner, and I'd be riding home at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, Mum and Dad freaking out, "Where the hell have you been? Street lights have been on for ages, you haven't been home." And my response was always, "I was just at such and such's house. I was just at such and such's house." As I got to about 12, 13, I started to make friends with some very unsavoury characters in town. A lot of the guys who were the real rough nuts, because it was a tough town, it was a rough town. You didn't go out after a certain time at night unless you knew the right people. I just made sure I got to know those people. I would ride my bike around, made friends with bikies, started to sell a lot of, not sell, but transport a lot of illicit drugs for said bikies. Started smoking cigarettes, started smoking pot. the pot was a great calmer down for me. It made me forget. It made me not have dreams. It made me be able to control whatever the fuck was going on in my head, that I'd now put a wall up. I'd definitely created a separation between the real me and the me I had to be for society. The older guys also helped teach me how to be a man, or what a man should be, or what they thought a man should be, or what a man in those days was supposed to be. But I always had my morals and my beliefs. I would never hurt another person unless they really deserved it. I would not get involved in any of their shenanigans when it came to debt recovery and what they would do. Don't get me wrong, I've been asked to come for a drive and then heard some noise in the boot and asked to get out of the car pretty quickly. Because I knew what these guys did and I didn't want to be part of it. So at the ages of between 9, 11 and 13, a lot happened in my life. Made a couple of good friends. Didn't do great at school. School became a secondary thing for me. But what I will tell you is that I learnt very quickly, and when they'd go in revision, I'd start acting up and playing around because I already knew what they were teaching me. I'm not big noting, but I do learn very quickly. I am an intelligent person and always have been. Probably part of the autism or whatever the hell it was, because I didn't go by a diagnosis at that point, ever. I never put myself in a basket because I was never like anybody else I'd met. The true me was always different, even though I didn't know the true me. What else can we talk about in this video? So, best thing about the area I grew up in was the fact that we could go and build cubby houses. That was the story I needed to say. We used to have a big tree out the back. Dad decided it was getting too big because it was touching the house. So instead of getting in someone, we decided we'd cut it down ourselves. We were out there using a axe and a chainsaw. I was 11, sitting in a tree with my knee, swinging an axe, and put the axe into my knee. Local hospital just stitched it up, sent me on my way. Turned out I'd done a bit more damage to my knee than we thought. Took me a long time to get running again. Couldn't play rugby league, couldn't do martial arts. Really struggled with walking for a while. It came good. Over time, it turned out I'd cut a ligament in my knee, or a tendon in my knee or something, but it got healed, and it came good through exercise and re-strengthening the muscles around it. That was the first time I got stitches. And it was where I started to learn that I had a pretty good tolerance for pain, because the things I was still doing with it, I was told I shouldn't have been able to do. And yeah, I did anyway. So that was at 11. It was a big year. Tried to keep playing footy. Took a long time to get that all back in to working order where I could run. Would jog. I'd train with the team as much as I could. Sit on the sideline, help for water bottles. Still committed to the team, because that was something that my dad had always said. If you've made a commitment to your team, you make a commitment to your team. You see it through, you stick it out, through the good or the bad. That'll come up later on. You'll understand what I mean by that when you get into one of my later stories. So at 14, early ages 14, my sister started dating the person who became my best friend for 35 years, Phil. Now, Phil really did help me learn to be a man, how to interact with people without being a fuckwit, without causing people to want to smack me in the mouth. And he did it through old school ways. When I was being a fuckwit and doing things that someone wanted to smack me in the mouth, they'd smack me in the mouth, push me around. We were quite rough on each other, but it was all about toughening me up. Had a lot of older friends at that point, guys who rode bikes, motorbikes, or leather, you know what I'm talking about. And also learned a lot about working on cars at that point. Spent a lot of time under a bonnet, under a car. I had little arms, so little hands, so I could always get into the tight spots, and I enjoyed learning. So hence I have a very good mechanical aptitude. Love working on cars even now, except I don't like it because I'll break nails and don't want dirty nails. So I'll leave it there. We're at our 15-minute mark. So just as a recap, come up from Victoria, free range parented from 9 until where we're at with about 13, 14. Started to realise that there was something a bit different about me. Knew it had something to do with women's clothing and stuff, because I definitely felt more comfortable wearing the girls' clothes than my clothes. Definitely associated with guys better than women. The women in my life were pretty savage to me because I was a bit of a dick. But I also realised that the girls in my family got better treatment than I did. But we'll get to that one again as well. So just know that I grew up in a great little place for kids to explore and find out what being a kid is without parents being around. Definitely did some very crazy things, which I'll get into on my next story about some of the activities we would do to pass time for fun. And yeah, sorry if I'm all over the place, but please understand I've got a lot of memories in my mind that I'm trying to put into a somewhat of a story. I don't want to do it as a scripted thing. So please bear with me and enjoy the ride of my stories. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe. Let your friends know, because as I get into my stories further on, there are some pretty wild things that I've done in my life. And I know I'm different to most people, definitely different to most people I know in the queer community. And they're the reasons why. So please stay along for the journey. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.